You are a stubborn bitch, a psychopathic clown that chortles at one's demise, a cheap prostitute that refuses to give what was paid for, a thug that breaks ribs for a few pennies. But I fight like hell, and every time you leave me bloody, broken, and hopeless, I rise again. You see, my spirit may be broken, but my legs function well. Adrenaline lets mothers lift cars of their babies, but anger allows men to stand up to life. Thoughts?
When you feel depressed, when you're on that mode, is that always like, is there always a lot of anger towards yourself, or is it towards
Not
external
always, but yeah, you
things?
blame yourself a lot. Like, why can I get out of this? Why can I? You again, you become that victim that we were just talking about. Um, and one of the other things that become very, very apparent is that everybody else can do what you can't. So, not only do you see yourself as the weakest person in the world, you see other people as having a supernatural strength that you're like on those days that you can't go to work or that you can't get out of bed, you're like, oh my god, like, and then people tell you, right, like when you're depressed to the point where you can't get out of bed, there's always going to be a person telling you, I'm depressed too. I feel depressed and I'm sad and sometimes I don't want to live anymore, but guess what, I get out of bed and I go to work and I do what I have to. And you believe it, you're like, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
see you, you're right, you're 100% right, I'm weak. And then you start blaming yourself even more, and it becomes a vicious circle because then it becomes more depressive, and you start believing and you start accepting the fact that you're not going to get out of that. So when you go into a deep depression, you don't see the end, right? It's not like an illness, like a flu that you go, oh, it's going to get better. Like the darkness just gets darker. And then when it goes away, at least for me, it doesn't go away completely. Like it doesn't. It's like, oh, I'm not depressed anymore. It just doesn't
Yeah, it's not
happen.
a light switch. It's
Depression, the best way that I can explain it, it takes away the joy out of things. So there's a lot of times where, are you excited for X, Y, and Z? And I know I should be excited because some of the things I've planned, and but the excitement is not there. And it's not that I don't want to feel excited. It's just that my physical chemistry is it's just blank. And I feel like I should feel excited. And it's funny because once you have been depressed, like I have been since I was 8 years old, you start manufacturing your own happiness, not only through drugs, obviously, but inside your own head. And I pretend, like I find myself pretending that things like make me excited. I'm like, yay! But
it's like you
inside,
trick yourself.
mm-hmm,
Huh.
yeah. So it's an effort. Like everything you're doing, it's an effort. It's work. When everybody and the sad part is that you remember, right? You're like, oh, I remember how this used to feel. How excited I used to be when I used to create something new, or come up with something that I loved, or my passions. I remember, like, it's a very distinctive feeling that it gives you, and then it's just not there.